That's a lot for election night.
Yeah.
I took a leap and I ordered your favorite.
Yeah, well, congrats on finishing the election.
But
We have
your order.
Oh, that's what you were talking about. Thank you. I'm like, okay. Very nice. Perfect.
I mean, it would give a little.
Pretty pathetic. Okay, that was good.
Yeah, we're trying to get ahead of some of this stuff. End of the year is gonna come super fast and.
Yeah. Preston, you got me jerky.
Yeah.
I like jerky. Very much. Son of a gun. Yeah, he didn't share.
We have way more at home.
Did you get there?
I got one last year, we haven't used
Oh.
all the turkey for it.
Yeah, of course, we made it.
I need somebody to come shoot a big old pork chop that's been eating my garden.
Oh, yeah, there's been some down that hill.
Yeah.
I see in the morning when I
But
was
yeah,
walking.
And I caught a raccoon in my shed last night.
Oh,
Right
did you?
eating
Oh.
my dog food.
Yeah.
Opened the door, he looks at me.
They're little menaces.
Looks around at people. It was like,
Yeah, they're little menaces.
they are eating little scoundrels.
Mhm.
I've never seen one in town before.
That's
I
crazy.
started seeing paw prints on the freezer and garbage cans tipped over. I'm like, huh.
Yeah, you got a critter.
And we caught him last night.
We used to have one when we lived down in the creamery, and I'm pretty sure it was a raccoon or something like that caught one of our cats. So they're menaces, they really are. And they reach out on garbages and stuff like that.
Yeah, little stinker.
it's right on, almost right on time.
Yeah.
Speaking of your crab.
Hello, you two.
Hi, how are you?
I brought you a book in case you
Oh,
forgot.
in case we forgot.
Yeah, you never know, so.
Great. We'll never have to leave a.
No. No, I'll toss a few of them away, but I try to get them passed around to whoever wants them.
Presley, did you set up like a WebEx link or something for the IDC lady from these 11 a.m. interviews?
Candace,
Yeah.
I believe she's coming in.
Oh, perfect.
So.
Perfect. Okay, very good.
Jade, my report didn't get uploaded. I don't know if I was supposed to do it, because I restricted my funds last month.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, so I don't know. I got the box, but then I typically didn't do it, but if I didn't
Hey,
do
good
it.
morning.
I'm
I thought you'd be downstairs. I thought you'd be downstairs.
I am, I'm all
Morning,
for it.
Commissioner.
No, I did, I just took the, not, no, on that one, and I just uploaded it. Once they notified me, I was like, but I didn't know that they restricted their funds and telling them, like, there's no cost, and I'm like, I don't know, just some report, sometimes every 60, sometimes every 30, kind of like, and I figured out how to do it. So, it's fine, we were fine, but if I need to,
Very confusing.
I can do it when my box comes,
So
then I
you
can
want to come up
upload.
today? Just card it. She said this question, so she, we have a really good house.
But if you want me to do it, I can do it. I did, I uploaded it. Yeah, once I got notification, once the state auditor notified it.
But I know we have counted it, there's still some hot there. What they call fashion.
That's okay. I did it, and they released it, and then they released their funds.
Required is to income range secretary.
Yeah.
So.
And And I should have,
Yeah, so-
I should have just
If
followed
you're
up when the
keeping
box
them
came with all of the
easily-
bound copies and stuff, I should have just double checked, but I didn't.
Yes.
Going through elections or something, and I just didn't.
She keeps a chart.
Does she?
Yeah,
Maybe
the
just
first
didn't- maybe it's not meant to be yet, or whatever, but it's fine, you know, and I'll just start off like.
So how do we?
We're humans doing human stuff.
Well, if they're range cattle, they're already going for free. But if he's got livestock, you know,
Okay.
you would haze them, you
They'd
would
be
be
treated
like a
like
light.
It's
Well,
but it's open range. That makes sense.
Yeah, so,
Okay. Just get ready for the argument.
fair, fair, yeah. All right, thank you.
All right.
I should have brought my copy of the ordinance. Do we have any maps that we can put down in Bud Tile?
There is a map, in the back.
Oh, great. That'll make it easy. I see. Oh, the roads.
Ready? Yeah. All right, welcome to commission meeting on November 6th, 2024. We call this meeting to order. We appreciate all those in the audience joining us today. I'm going to start with some introductions on my left this morning, if you will.
Presley Jensen, Commission Secretary.
Brandon Yardley, Commissioner.
Wade Hollington, Commissioner.
Tammy Pearson, Commissioner.
Bob Christensen, attorney.
Ginger McMullen, clerk auditor.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for being here after, Ginger, after a busy day yesterday. We're glad you're here with us today,
Maybe
right?
home a little early, so.
So, thanks for being here, and thanks to those in the audience as well. We'll start with the prayer, and then the pledge of allegiance will be led by Tammy, and I'll say the prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity to meet today as representatives of Beaver County and elected officials and those who are here with us today. We're grateful for the opportunity to live in this great country. We're grateful for the freedoms we have, for the freedoms to vote and express our opinions. We are grateful for those rights and privileges. We pray for those who lead and guide this country, that they may be directed in good decisions to better the people and better the country. We're grateful for our great state and for those leaders as well. We're grateful for the citizens of this county. We pray for them, each one of them, with health and strength and their abilities to go about their lives and take care of their families and do what they would like to do. We're grateful for the moisture that we've received. We're grateful for that blessing. We are so grateful for all God bless us with. We ask you to bless those who serve in our militaries, those who protect our freedoms there. We pray for them and their families, that they will be protected and watched over as well. Bless us this day with thy guidance and direction, thy spirit to help us in our decision making. And we're grateful for our Savior, and these things we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Bills. I'll give you the short one first.
Bills, more bills.
Bills is first item on the agenda.
By the way, one of the press is just stopping on right now about Beaver Valley Hospital. We've been reimbursed by the state for that one already. So that was a Delta.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big one.
we got that one Monday, I believe.
So everything, if they're a state inmate, gets reimbursed, right?
Correct.
extension support staff, is that
Quarterly,
just their wage?
uh-huh,
Okay.
but paying for Melissa, Lori, and Allison, and they pay them, and then then they bill us, and we reimburse them
Gotcha.
quarterly.
Okay.
The Lewis, Young, Robertson, and Birmingham now will be reimbursed?
I'm waiting to, get an address and who I need to, I haven't got clarification if we're supposed to invoice or if, Jen's gonna invoice.
Okay.
If we're happy to, we just need to know.
The JCG Technologies says license renewal.
I feel like that's something for Tyler, but I can't.
The department says expenditures.
What's the date on that?
6/1, 24.
What, at the top of the page that you're looking at?
Oh,
What's that?
the 18th, page 4.
Let me go pull that.
Okay. Sorry. Your memory's pretty sharp.
I know that.
Training mileage, 2,000. Record total. Look at that is.
Is she part of the CJC?
It's CJC.
That was the CJC? Okay.
That's the first time we paid it, so that's why it threw me off. I can't remember.
Oh, I got that. That's corrections, so.
This is gonna be correction.
Rebecca Dalton working corrections? Yep. Rebecca Dalton.
She's a CJC
She's
over in
CJC.
Cambridge?
Yeah. Over in Page.
Go ahead and get a contact with her.
Oh, she's like a therapist?
Yes.
She's one of your, Brittany's out, she's one of the counselors, and we're just renting down there, sure. Interview with them. Oh, no, I haven't. Sorry. I have no voice today, I'm sorry.
You screamed and yelled a lot
Well,
yesterday?
I talked to a whole lot of people yesterday.
Yes, you did.
Lots of questions.
Lots of answers, lots of.
I think I could fill out a provisional, application in
By
6
memory.
weeks.
I had quite a conversation about the amendments yesterday with people that had already voted, and they go, why didn't we call you ahead of time? And I said, why didn't you? Because you're never supposed to guess on the ballot.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for the bills.
I'll make a motion, we approve the bills.
I'll second that.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make unanimous. Thanks, Ginger. I know it's been a busy week for you, so good day, last couple days. Appreciate that. All right, minutes. I think Commissioner Yardley has a few.
Okay.
Stuff.
So did you have a chance to look at that?
And
Was
I
it-
haven't changed it, but
Okay, good.
I sent her
Okay.
the amended,
I was gonna print it off and mark stuff up.
yeah,
I just never did.
you still can, because I have 3 days before I.
So these are minutes from October.
Mm-hmm, these minutes from October.
Is there any?
I read through a few of them, yeah, there's a couple of, they just didn't read really well. We gotta find them again. The part that talked about the reimbursement request for James Carter.
Right there.
Is that in the first section? Because we talked about it
Oh,
twice.
encroachment, see?
On the encroachment. It looked like Commissioner Pearson made a motion before we even talked about the dollar amount or who made the request.
Yeah.
I think it just needs to be moved, that part of it moved up before the
Okay.
motion was made.
Yeah. Do you have AI helping with this?
Not that one. I mean, I can do a hybrid.
Yeah, I think you just, probably just moves the refund of the 125 up into the request. And then the motion could be after that.
I think it's 15, I think that's 17.
And then the other one that I found on there was, so after the building award, ratify the signature on the contract for the roof, it's the contract for the engineering.
Oh. Sorry.
Then on the 15th minutes, the legislative update part. Right there, where it says there are behind the meter power options to use, well, that sounds a little better than what there are behind the meter options to use natural gas, but I think that's, I want Commissioner Pearson's help on this one.
I thought that didn't read quite right either.
Or to use natural gas, maybe?
Maybe I just scratched the whole sentence and not even have it in there.
Okay.
That might be the,
Or we could, you could say, no, I would just scratch it.
Okay.
the scratching.
That would be the cleanest, because we're looking into options.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on the part that talked about the best 1, 2, and 3, I think it's near the,
Yeah, it's towards the end. On the third page of the 15.
yes, right there. Okay, this is the updated, that part got updated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that looks right now.
Yeah, it wasn't That's
You
the
got that?
one that I saw.
Okay.
I hated even bothering with it, because I'm like,
No, we're still in line.
we gotta fix this, because,
Might as well have it right, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
yeah.
Okay.
glad you guys.
Well, that's a lot of, like, numbers juggling, and
I
trying to
know.
make sure that it all reads right, but that looks better.
Anything else on the bill, on the minutes?
No, that was all, anything that I found.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make unanimous. Thank you once again on that, Ginger.
Thank you.
Kimball and Roberts, come on up, you two. How are you today?
Good.
Sorry, we're a few minutes behind. We'll try to catch up right here, right? That's what I thought you were gonna say. Just for recording purposes, if you just introduce yourselves and where you're from, that'd be great. We know, but people online may not.
Gabe Miller, auditor with Kimball and Roberts, Richfield.
Rick Roberts, Kimball and Roberts, from the auditors, Richfield.
Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's good to be here today. You're celebrating today, huh?
Yep,
Yes, well, yep.
100%.
Mike's yours, go ahead.
Gabe was coming to the stock market already celebrating.
Yeah.
If you had stocks, you were definitely gained.
Yeah. Well, I don't suppose you want to read through the whole thing, so, but it's November already. So.
Give us the highlights.
So we'll just take a few minutes and go through the opinion and maybe some of the compliance things.
Okay.
You go through the financials quite regularly, I mean, you do every month, so. Let me just have you turn to the index there on the very first page. It just shows how these, audit reports are laid out. Starts out with our independent audit report, then it goes to the management's discussion and analysis. Then we do the basic financial statements and fund financial statements, and then the notes. And the notes just expand on those basic financial statements. And then we have required supplementary information, which have all these other schedules that support what you're looking at. Then we have combining fund statements and schedules. And if you turn the page, we have combining financial statements, and then a compliance section. I'm just gonna go through the independent auditor's report, and then Gabe will probably go through the compliance section. The rest of that, we think you probably already read through. I see that you looked at some of the tax abatement information, so you can read that. So on page 2, this is the auditor's report. And the reason we do an audit is to be able to opine or state to the public, everyone else who looks at these financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects, if there aren't any errors or irregularities that would cause them to be misleading. So that first paragraph, we talk about some of the activity or some of the things in the financial statement. It's a little different where you have all these component units. I think you have 4 component units that are shown in here. And so we talk about that. And then in our opinion, the second paragraph says the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of Beaver County as of December 31st, 2023, and the respective changes in the financial position where applicable, cash flows thereof for the years ended in accordance with county principles generally accepted in the United States of America. That is a clean or unmodified opinion. Turn the page, it shows some of the auditor's responsibilities. This is what we look at during the audit. And then it also on the previous page talks about your responsibilities. So in doing the test work and the inquiries and observations, we didn't find anything that would cause us to believe that these statements were misstated. We just had some adjustments we had to do, and we'll talk about that later. So if you don't have any questions on the financials, I'll turn time over to Gabe to go through the very end of the report.
Okay, so we're gonna, unless there's something in the middle, we can flip all the way back. We can start on page 81. And basically 2 reports we're gonna cover out here. at the end here is, the first one is our independent auditors report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters based on an audit of financial statements, performed in accordance with governmental auditing standards. So essentially, this is our opinion on the effectiveness of your internal controls. Although it's not an opinion rendering on those controls, it's basically disclosing that we have to consider, obviously, the environment in which these statements are prepared and that the data is relevant and valid. And as we do our testing, observations and inquiries and walkthroughs, based on auditing procedures, we're able to basically remove some of the uncertainty of if those internal controls are working effectively. And so at the bottom paragraph on page 81, we do describe that this opinion is based on a limited purpose in planning and performing the audit, and we identify that there's deficiencies that could exist or material weaknesses. And the very last statement, we says, although given these limitations during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. However, other material weaknesses may exist that have not been identified. This is the report that normally, if there wasn't anything that we found, that would be it. But in that paragraph just above that, you can see there that we did consider that we did identify one deficiency that is in the scheduled findings at the end. We'll flip over there in recommendations and item 1223.1. And we did identify this to be a significant deficiency in that we had there were some accounts receivables in many of the funds that were not recorded at year end. In other words, accrued back to, should have been revenues and receivables shown on the statements. And just so you can kind of understand too, it's not something that is, if we find one or two, what it ends up being is a materiality amount by fund. So at the very beginning of the audit, we have to establish, well, what's material to this fund, the general fund, the capital projects, your non-major, and those types of things. So once we evaluate those materialities, if we do find something that was over that materiality that wasn't on there, or in this case, there was a few that we had to pull back in and record revenue and or propose the adjustments so that you guys could get those receivables on the books. And so it's just stated there that we found these receivables, they were not recorded. There's criteria, cause and effect as to why that would be a problem, and our recommendation was that you should review those at year end or at the end of every period, and especially at year end, to make sure that those are properly accrued. And then your response is that you'll consistently and make an effort to go through that process prior to us coming and get those booked. So not a major thing, but this is something that would have made the statements misleading in a material way, but not something that's, if you're made aware of it, that your wonderful auditor won't make adjustments to correct. So in fact, it's probably, we know last year's been corrected, but it's not an uncommon thing that we see sometimes those things get missed. So.
And that can just be done once a year, right?
Yeah, I mean, really you should do it before you review the meetings, but, when you're getting statements and you're looking at interim statements, the same thing could happen. You might be looking, say, at sales tax revenue or property tax revenue that if it's not accrued, or grants, or, whatever it may be. But year end is the vital point, because that's when you're reporting your financials to the public, right? So
what we find on some, in fact, just yesterday, found that some entities may qualify for some grants, but it's to spend reimbursed. So they spend the money, at the end of the period they've spent, but they haven't put a receivable on there for the money to come in. And so a lot of times that happens, you spend the money and haven't been reimbursed. So you have to take that receivable out of that money and the revenue. So that's probably what, we didn't look at that, it's been a while since we did this, so I can't remember.
yeah, I can't remember. Do you remember exactly what? I don't even remember.
And I think it was probably a grant reimbursement.
It was grants, it was not, the drug coalition, we are
Yes.
fiscal
Yeah.
agent on them, and we did not build that in our budget, so
Yeah.
we'll build it in
I
our
think
budget
that was
this
just
year.
one of those spend, reimburse, and then get the reimbursement side of it.
And under the,
Spend the money,
Yeah.
under your method of accounting, that's GAAP, you know, it's based on true GAAP, you've gotta, even though that money wouldn't have been deposited until July, and maybe not relevant because you don't have the money, but it is in terms of if you were awarded, or if that was a receivable that was for June, then it needs to be booked as a revenue and pick up as an accounts receivable, saying, hey, the cash is gonna come, and, you know,
Do
otherwise.
you have to book it in June, whether it's there or
it
not?
will be in December in your case.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like all those records that come between January and March, you've got to roll them back into the prior year.
Right.
I missed a couple of those, is what it was,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and it happens, it just, and I don't remember what materiality your funds are, but normally some of the smaller funds, the materiality can be very small.
Yeah.
So if your materiality is 5,000 for the fund and it was 6,500, then it's material to the fund, we gotta pull it back in, whereas if it were a general fund receivable, we'd say, it's okay.
Right, right.
I mean, it's kinda odd, but
Right.
it's just,
Right,
it's just what it is.
makes sense.
Glad
So anyway.
Ginger and Leanne are the bookkeepers and not me.
Yeah, well, they do a great job, they do really wonderful job. Okay, so that's that report. The second one is on pages 82, 83, and 83, 84, 85. This is the independent auditor's report on compliance and report on internal control over compliance as required by the state compliance audit guide. Every year, the state of Utah State Auditor's Office issues a compliance guide that we're to follow. It generally isn't all-inclusive. In other words, like, we could find things like 3-day deposit that hasn't in the past been on the guide, but we still test for it. So there's things that you know, state compliance requires that may or may not be in the guide, but for the most part, there's a few changes here and there, but they stay relatively consistent on the topics that are the areas that you see in the middle of page 83, which those were the areas that were specific to Beaver County. So as we tested those, we did have one finding over on page 84. It says, in tested budgetary compliance, we noticed that the budgets were exceeded in the Health Fund, the Municipal Building Authority Fund, the Federal Drug Coalition Fund, and Redevelopment Fund. And so our recommendation is that as you get to the end of the year, as you anticipate spending, getting over those budgeted amounts in the fund, that you go ahead and make adjustments prior to year end so that amended budget reflects that you stay within your budgets. And your response is noted there that you'll do that. Sometimes that's difficult, especially we find a lot of instances, whereas, you know, if for example, on the other side, we talked about receivables, I'm gonna go with the payables, same thing. We see a lot of times in projects where you may have an engineer or, you know, project invoice come in for a request that's dated June 30th, and it doesn't get booked, and you look at your budget in June, and you say, hey, we're good, but that reimbursement, or, you know, or that payable is due and is an expenditure in June, and if it's 50,000 and you were right on the money, you're now over budget 50,000. So it can be tricky, and so you kind of have to anticipate what's happening in July, you know, what's coming in to be billed to make sure you're adjusting it. Or sorry, yeah, we're in cities and
I know,
towns,
yeah.
sorry.
We knew what you
They have a
were
June end.
So just in December, we make sure we do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Which,
It's kind of like what we did with
Yeah.
Puffer Lake.
yeah,
We opened the budget to be able to,
to get it done when we.
we had to
in a
say that we were
timely-
gonna spend it,
Right.
and we had to account for the grant coming in to pay for it, and then the rest of
Right.
it was coming out of, you know, fund balance, so we had, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, we find in our search a lot of times, the ones that we end up having them pull back, as you stated, engineers are, you get a bill from an engineer 3 months down the road, it's for December.
yeah.
And so, you know, as you look through those, that's why you have to look at those invoices. I know they're very good at that. I don't think we had any,
I don't think we had,
no, we do a search for those, and we didn't find any, but on the budget, if you don't watch your budget, and these were small budgets.
it was, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
but
they
there
were
was
They
some-
didn't go over very far.
Yeah.
We even had to report on one, they were over $375.
But the compliance guide says if it's over budget, you're over budget, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
250 yesterday on one, so, anyway, that,
But no, all in all, those are, you easily resolved, and, you know, to reiterate, the cutoff period prior to us coming is, and they do a great job, just once in a while you miss things here or there, but, it's really important to do that with receivables, payables, assets, which we talked before, which in fact, that's what I'll end with, in fact, page 89, which is the last page here, a little bit of good news here. This was a finding that had been on your audit since the 12/31/2021 year, and it was regarding capital assets, meaning that as we came in and tested those based on what had been purchased or transferred from a district or whatever, that they weren't equaling what was on the asset schedules, and that was affecting depreciation and things like that. Well, we can now, as you see at the top there, resolution of finding and recommendation. Basically, you now have this resolved. So this is our report, just basically disclosing that this finding that's been on there has been resolved, so that will no longer be an issue.
That has to do with equipment.
Yeah.
On the same page next year, no.
Yeah, so that'll be, once you put in the receivables, if we don't find that same thing next year, the same thing will be stating that's resolved. So, other than that, that's really about it.
Looking good.
Looks good.
Okay.
Any questions?
If you want, if you got time, we can read through the whole thing.
Time is of the essence.
If you were like the rest of us, stay up late, don't stay awake.
Yep, we're.
I'm looking forward to an afternoon nap.
Yeah. Thank you both for coming, we appreciate it very much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for the help, staff, and I know we bug them a lot.
When's your next one scheduled?
I think it's May. We did book out.
Yeah.
Start again.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we're here for again.
We thought we were gonna come a couple of weeks ago when we were there at Beaver City, but
Yeah.
we didn't have a meeting.
We didn't
that
have a
time.
meeting. It was on off week.
Yeah, so anyway, just get us a little sooner when
Yeah.
we're happy to come anytime, we'll fit in. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
So I think I'll entertain a motion that we accept the audit from Kimball and Roberts as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good day. See you later.
See ya.
I'll tell you on the news, you're mentioning that, it's already, how's that coming anyway, public land?
I think we're good. We're still waiting to hear from the Supreme Court, but I think they need to pick it
Maybe
up.
with this change, a better change.
It'll be good.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
later.
Have a safe trip home.
See ya.
All right. Resolution number 2024-13, Utah County's Indemnity Pool Meeting. Ginger, I guess that
That's
you
on
got
the
this one?
22nd, right?
Sorry, I'm checking this out.
Yeah.
Resolution?
Yeah, it's the youth one. It's the annual board member meeting. Are any of you guys going? Because I need to, did you print that?
It's right here.
Okay, yeah. We need to appoint a representative.
So who's it traditionally?
They normally have it during the UAC conference.
I know, and I'm not sure.
What day is it again?
It's on Friday the 22nd.
Where's that?
I don't know where it is.
Oh, yeah, I got some emails. I don't know.
Because
And
our
Alex called me.
representative,
I don't think anyone is.
Alex called me on this, so as soon as this meeting, I send that resolution to her of who you're gonna appoint.
Who can, it can be who?
it can be anybody.
It
Oh,
can be
it could be,
me.
well, let's appoint Ginger.
You need a day off and
No?
Salt Lake. I could maybe do it. I actually have a meeting on Thursday up there. We're at the Google meet.
I have one on Wednesday up there. I could go back Friday if I need to.
What time Friday? 11. Is it zoomed as well, or is it in person?
person.
They usually have it in person.
Yeah, at the Megaplex theaters.
What's it, Sandy?
Jordan Common.
Yeah, Jordan Commons area.
Sounds like the chairman knows where it is, I recommend.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, that would be a motion.
Oh, come on, let's put Vonda go. Should we put Vonda go?
No.
No.
This is a job for a commission.
It says 11.
This Utah County Indemnity Pool, it works with like flooring stuff. Flooring, can you say that word? Lawyer.
I can.
Lawyer.
I can do it, whatever.
You want to,
If I go, I
you're
have
already,
to, well, I gotta.
you're already gonna be up there.
I have a 2:30 to 5:30 meeting Thursday afternoon, so I would just have to stay over and do it. But if you would like to go for it.
I would not like to go, so, I mean, I'll go though, if you wanna come home.
Well, I don't have, it doesn't matter. It's also the Farm Bureau convention up there, that same week. They asked me to come, but I didn't think they promised you.
You gotta have the assessor too, contingent, if somebody can't go, what you wanna do.
This was only gonna be a 5-minute discussion, so we'll be done. Do you want me to?
Yeah, I don't care. Or I can stay and do it. It's totally up to you. Do you wanna do it?
No.
I'll do it.
You're there. I'll be the successor if she can't go.
Okay. That way I can, I'll do all three. I'll do the Farm Bureau and it's the outdoor rec, it's my board meeting that day when we do all the.
On Thursday? Can you make it to the one on Wednesday?
What's it?
The water meeting, Pine Valley Water meeting?
That's that day too, isn't it?
If not, I can handle that.
Yeah,
But if you
I
can make it,
spent
that's
3 days.
I mean, that's the thing, if you wanna come home, I'll go up there.
Yeah. We'll work it.
I put
Write
you-
us two,
Okay.
yeah, and then we'll just duke it out later.
Okay.
Need to amend your motion, Commissioner.
Yes, you do.
I do, okay. Do we need it in the mo, oh, we do need it in the
It's
motion.
a resolution.
Cause you were gonna throw Ron under the bus and that.
I was waiting for-
Very nice.
Okay, I will amend my motion and recommend that we appoint Tammy as the, Commissioner Pearson as the primary person, I guess.
Yep.
And Wade as the alternate representative. Representative, that's the
Yeah, I
word.
guess I'll second that.
I'll go, you have to tell me.
Well, by the second day, I might be calling you.
Yeah, okay,
This
yeah.
is like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, you're it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna put that on the
Do we need
calendar.
Yeah, Commissioner Holling said aye.
Commissioner Yardley, aye.
Commissioner Pearson, aye.
Perfect.
I thought I heard you say make it unanimous, did I hear that?
Make it unanimous.
Okay.
Gotta do probably around this one. Okay.
Me too.
No, you need to sign it. Okay, Commissioner Pearson.
Sorry.
CJC lease agreement in Penguins, Ginger.
So, as you guys were aware, the Garfield County CJC, they were losing their building that they had been using for the CJC. Teresa was able to find a location, the Cozy Pace Cottages, which is an Airbnb, and this is to sign a year's lease, and we just paid the year's lease on Friday for this location so that they can conduct the Children's Justice Center in this.
So this is a new.
Because they were losing their location and the city, or there was no other options for them as of right now. Garfield County is contributing $10,000 towards this lease. The rest of it will be paid for by the grant. So this is just to sign the lease agreement for the Garfield County CJC location, which is $1,500 a month. We paid first and last, and we just paid it all so that she could submit. So we paid for a year in this location.
You want a motion, I guess? You need a motion, separate motion on each one of these?
I think just one, that it's just a one lease agreement.
As long as you've seen this?
I have, Ginger did a great job of getting it to me,
Okay.
actually last week, so I'm okay with that, comfortable with it.
Yeah, it looked like it was pretty standard.
Okay.
I didn't see anything that, it was like this was just kind of a traditional lease agreement.
And maybe I'll explain to those who may be listening. They're wondering why in the world is Beaver County signing a lease agreement for Garfield County? The answer is that we administer the Children's Justice Center in Garfield County. At some point, they're going to be able to kind of stand on 2 feet and have their own CJC, but for now, Beaver County administers that on their behalf.
So we're basically the fiscal agent for that
Exactly.
Garfield County CJC
Yeah.
currently. Which is not, it's not using any Beaver County taxpayer dollars. It's all paid by a grant through the state of Utah, through the Utah Attorney General's office.
Right.
So just kind of clarification.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion that we go into this agreement with Garfield County Children's Justice Center.
Yeah, and is it called the
Cozy Pace Cottages.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make unanimous. We are the leaseor? Lessor?
We're the lessee.
Lessee?
Yeah, we are renting it from the lessor.
Okay. Trustee, have the next item? Ratify Milford Laundromat lease agreement and beer tax fund.
Yes, so we need to sign the lease agreement for the Milford Laundromat. With Andrew Junction, it says business center in Milford. And
So monthly rent, $600.
and should we have,
Oh, we have the ladies right there.
They're taking more rooms. She's taking more rooms.
She's already signed the contract, so she's apparently seen it.
And she paid the first and last.
Okay.
I think the only thing we're missing is proof of insurance.
and
Oh, the vendor's insurance.
And what else?
W-9, have you got W-9?
No, we got that. We've got the W-9.
Okay,
Well, we don't need a W-9. They're paying us.
oh, I
We're not
thought
paying.
you wanted it.
Yeah, no. If we have to pay them, we would be the W-9, but they're paying us, and so.
Okay. Just for insurance.
Just the proof of insurance, renter's insurance, I think is the only thing we need.
Okay.
Good question.
So do we need that before we sign the agreement?
We should be getting it for,
I know she's been waiting for
The
the
agent.
agent.
Yeah. And she's not doing business yet, she's still remodeling and trying to get it.
So they were pouring cement or something the other day.
Yeah,
Or framing it up on the
Yeah.
entryway.
It is in the contract that we need to have it.
So before she can,
I don't know that it specifically states before
She can require them.
start, but we need it.
I think we can get that this week or early next week. I know they were close on it, so.
I mean, I don't think it should,
Blank amount on the.
does it hinder us from actually signing, it shouldn't hinder us from signing the contract, should it? I mean, it did the contract, but she's gonna get it, so we can sign the contract, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't, I think we're fine.
She just needs that before she can.
Start moving her stuff
This
in there.
this one's blank, says Lester will provide fixes for light entering the building, which to the glass door, which will cost approximately, it doesn't say that cost.
Yeah, Well, that ought to be something anybody's department can do.
Yeah, and Tyler's been working with her, I think we're really close on everything that we needed to do.
Okay.
Is this Tyler doing that too, or did he have to contract that out?
I think he contracted that out. I think he had enough of the cement work this summer, so he was.
Yeah, plenty. Well, they need to get it done before the weather,
Turns bad.
yeah, worse.
First, yeah, it was bad yesterday,
Yeah.
it almost froze.
So I'll entertain a motion on the laundromat lease agreement, which is $600 a month.
I'll make a motion that we sign the Milford Laundry Mat lease agreement.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. One other one, Presley?
Yeah, the beer tax fund, I don't really know what it is, but,
I think Commissioner Hollingshead's already signed this, we're just
yeah,
ratifying.
we just need to ratify your signature on it.
But just to explain it, it's the state tax that comes back to the,
Correct, it is like DHC tax that we collect and we get paid once a year. And it's for education, and so it kind of helps offset,
law enforcement stuff.
law enforcement and, there's another area, I'm trying to think which one, because it's basically for education, for prevention and education.
So treatment of offenders and stuff is what it says on the.
Mhm.
So does it go into the programming
General
fund
fund. Mhm.
for the jail?
And it's super volatile, we never know how much is coming.
So it's,
It's not a lot.
isn't it captured by the state though and then sent to the county?
Mhm. Right there, it's what they did, so you provide funds for the
residential,
BRT,
yeah.
so it helps
General.
offset your project success contract.
Yeah.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to ratify that signature that happened on October 28th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
I'll
that.
make it honest, man.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous on that, thank you. All right, 9:50, come on up, Jen.
That's a weird way to make him an honest man, Commissioner. I wasn't gonna let that jump past, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Project area amendment.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Jen
morning.
Wakeland, Strategic Development Director. First, I'm gonna, because I'm standing up, I'm going to give you this. We have officially our bling for our project area, and so I have a pin for each of you, and then a sticker to put on laptops,
Whatever.
families, your favorite child or grandchild, whatever. So I have one for each of you. So I wanted to share that.
Thank
It's
you.
exciting. We finally have our branding initiative taken care of. Monday morning, I was up at the state capitol, and I'm grateful it was Monday morning. It was a beautiful day. Representing our project area amendment changes. Ourselves and Juab County actually were present to bring the first hearing of the project area amendment to the Utah Inland Port Authority Board. And so what you have in front of you is a map of the project area as we have amended it. Will you scroll it up just a little bit so I can see that? Yep. That top boundary is super important because that's as far north as we go in the project area to date. Not that it is the furthest north we will ever go, that will be at your guys' discretion, but what we essentially did with this amendment is add that non-contiguous piece that's out there in the middle of BLM land and other things into the project area, because as we start to look at the growth of furbo and where they might extend within the valley, that becomes an integral piece as privately held property. So the amendment was really to clean up some of the overlap with existing RDAs and to also add that little island piece to the mix. Non-contiguous, but that doesn't matter. Each of our zones are actually non-contiguous, and that little parcel would be considered part of the larger Milford zone. The other change to the amendment, or the other change within the amendment, is to add energy. Energy production as part of the wording, so that if at any time we have another project that wants to come in front of us and ask for an incentive participation agreement, that energy production is within the realm of things that you can choose to enter into a participation agreement with. Not that they are going to, nobody has said anything to me, but I wanted you guys, knowing the growth that we're seeing, I just wanted to cover all of our bases.
Questions?
Just for visibility or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can have our GIS guy play with this map a little bit? So you can put in existing things that kind of gives your bearings a little bit better?
Thanks for asking. We actually have that capability within the experience that Sandy has built out for us through the work that Kevin has done. And so that is an added tool to us since the project area is over a year old, and so we started drafting this back in July of 23. Yeah, that's right, because then we adopted it in October of 23. And so at that point, we didn't have the experience built, we didn't have a lot of the capabilities that we currently have at our disposal, but to date, we do have those capabilities.
Well, I mean, we all play on Onyx and whatever else, our Google Earth, so you've got your landmarks that actually make more sense if you put
Yeah.
that in. So just, I know this place, so I know what I'm
Yeah.
looking at.
Yeah.
But anybody else, you've got all the solar farms, you've got the windmills, you've got different things in there that you can put, that would kind of create a better visual map.
And we can layer the actual...
Kevin's giving me dirty looks.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can layer the actual layer that shows kind of the topographical and then what's physically on the earth, so kind of like a street view.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit complicated to see some of those things when we start laying over these areas,
Yeah.
but we can certainly, I think you saw the maps at the presentation that we made. That was actually all Sandy's work. I went to Sandy and I said, hey, listen, I need this thing. And she created them from scratch, so she used the base shapes, but then redesigned to kind of give us a better layout and an idea and a feel. And so we do have that capability, and we can certainly ask for those.
So my other question is where this is right now, is this our original, or have you tweaked any of that outside part?
The only thing that I added is that small little
Just the
island.
80 acres?
Everything else is pretty much what it was. We did carve some of it out. You can see the little notches on the far left corner.
Yeah.
The top corner,
Yeah.
where the solar exists. And those were because I was actually using a layer that showed the development, but because there's no battery development, I didn't understand that was part of the parcel that was pertaining to the RDA. So when we created it, I had it where most of the solar stuff was cut out because I could visually see it.
Right.
But this now we have layering so that we can see the exact RDA boundaries and we can play them all together. Original-ish, yes. Refined, how's that?
There is a drill pad on this little section that we included, is that right?
Ask me that one more time.
Is there a drill pad on that section that we included, or we don't know yet?
Not to my awareness, there isn't.
Okay.
I could go for a drive. To my knowledge, there is not currently.
Okay.
I did get from Fervo, part of what prompted this is, I did ask Fervo just point blank, I said, what do you think your field of possibilities looks like? Like, give me what you think it really could look like. And he gave me a rectangle that was like ginormous and a half, and I was like, okay, well that was not quite as helpful as I thought the question was going to be. But it did key me in that they would be looking at those couple parcels right there that are privately held and well within where existing infrastructure is already going in. So that was part of it.
So is there a motion that we want us to?
Nothing to do.
Just information?
Nothing to do. This is just for information. Like I said, we made this first introduction to the Utah Inland Port Authority Board. If there's anything that you feel like needs to be tweaked, again, before we get to our second presentation, which will be hopefully the adoption of that by the Utah Inland Port Authority Board, happy to take that in and get those tweaks made before we have that presentation, but that is coming up the first week of December.
So maybe refresh my memory on this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Does planning and zoning need to approve these before it goes to inland port,
No.
and the commissioners don't have to approve it either.
No, well, you guys have to pass a resolution saying that you want to amend the project area, which we did months ago just to start the ball rolling. And when we looked at really what, my gut, and the reason I started it was to say, Furbo is probably in phase 3, 4, whatever that looks like, is gonna be bigger than what we're anticipating today with the building of the power plant. So let's get from them the information. When I saw how big their square was, I was like, that's so far future that it's actually not helpful at this point in time. But I knew that we needed this little island, and I knew that we had cleanup that we had to do on the solar. So this is a small refinement. So you don't have to approve anything. However, if something happens in the next year that wants to be added in that is not in, let's say,
Right.
I would bring that conversation to you guys and say, hey, we're having this request from this property owner and or developer. What do you think about including this in the project area? Then you would make a decision, and then we would add that into our amendment for the year.
Well, I know, over the last, whatever, it's been 5 years, in conversations with Furbo and the permits that they've got, yeah, it's way bigger than what we've got on the map.
Much, much bigger, and even actually extends into Millard County, which I think is a future us discussion. I think we need to decide, if they're really, I mean, we gotta get the first power plant up and generating, right?
Right.
And then, once we know exactly what that expansion looks like, then we need to start having some critical conversations with Millard County, because if we do want to extend all of that property up, it's gonna require another participation, not a participation agreement, but another MOU between you and Millard County, that everything that's in Millard County, they agree to abide by the project area plan as a partnering governing body. So there's lots of conversations to have. I don't think we're there quite yet.
So have they broke ground on their power plant?
Yes, they began operations, they began building the power facility in October,
Okay.
the day of the announcement from BLM.
Okay.
Yeah, they're working on some buildings and
Yeah,
another road out there, so.
yeah.
And their plan was basically like 3/4 of the Milford Valley, if I remember right.
Yeah, I mean, that big box that he sent me as a project area goes in through the middle of downtown.
Yeah.
Huge, huh?
And I said, I'm not sure you're gonna have wells in the middle of downtown Milford, but hey, I generally don't know a ton, so, it's expansive.
Yeah.
I do think it's wise to go strategically and just in stages, include
Correct.
what they need to.
Well,
Correct.
it should be, I mean, we've said this before, but it should be a living, breathing document, right? It's not
It's gonna have to
done,
change,
so it's gonna be changing and evolving over the years.
Well, and that's the interesting part about it is, because of the way you wanna trigger things and collect as much increment as you possibly can, the timing of it is really important. So if we make amendments in the fall, then we can trigger things in Q1, and so we don't really have to even make amendments, but if we know something's coming that you guys want to do something about, then we can make that change in the fall, trigger in Q1, and then collect in Q4 of that same year, which means you capture the full amount of increment, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Any other
One
questions?
last question.
I like it.
So this is weird because it's, oh, sorry.
What happened?
I think I hit the power button. Trying to, well, mine all bled out. So is that incorporated, is that Milford Incorporated county?
The red outline is Milford city boundaries, yes. I put that on there just so you could kind of see.
If you scroll down a little bit further, I think it's the agenda.
Which, that's why we have, Milford City as a governing body as well, because there is project area within their city limits
Right.
that they could choose to participate with,
Right.
or we could just choose to participate in that zone specifically if the city didn't want to participate with a development of some kind. We would have that flexibility as well. So we could actually layer participation as well, which is, can be extra helpful to the development as well.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you. Next item,
yep.
sign the consent for financing for best one.
So speaking of developments and participation agreements and all of the like, this is a follow-up document to the BES 1 through 3 participation agreements that you guys entered into a few weeks ago. This basically shows to you guys that project financing is moving forward for the project, which is a good flag, a green flag for y'all. But it allows the increment from the participation agreement to be pledged as collateral. So basically what Clearway is saying is, hey, we need to go get debt to build this thing. We have this agreement with Beaver County that they have said they would give us 60%. And so they're saying to the bank, Beaver County has said, we get to have 60% of whatever gets developed on to help secure their loan. So that's all this document is.
Okay.
We do need a motion to have you sign that letter.
Council, you seen this document?
I have, I'm noting that we're signing it in our capacity as the Beaver County Redevelopment Agency.
So I talked to Jason about that. He said, looking over the letter, he feels confident that Wade can sign it as a chair where it's just the participation. It's a leverage of the collateral for the participation.
Yeah, I was worried we'd have to go out of commission into redevelopment agency and then there and then come back in. If they're comfortable with us just doing the commission, that saves us some trouble.
Okay, and you're comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? If I'm hearing none, I'll entertain a motion then.
Fantastic. I know the question came up about the LRB invoice earlier in this meeting. Just so you know, now that I have this signed, I will go ahead and sign.
You make that complicated.
She does make it complicated for us.
Yeah, but she's trying to do it.
I'm just trying to make sure that.
Commissioner Pearson, did you declare a conflict?
Okay, so there's that.
So of note, Commissioner Pearson is declaring a conflict and will not be voting. Okay. You were saying?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying that the question came up earlier in the meeting about the consulting contract for this project specifically with LRB. We have paid that out of the Economic Development Funds or the RDA funds. RDA funds. I do have the invoice ready to go to Clearway to reimburse us for that. So I was
Gotcha.
waiting for this document to get
You
signed.
need to send that invoice?
Correct, and so we should see that money back within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. So you'll just make the notion that we'll pass the chair automatically between Commissioner Yardley and myself. Do you have any other questions? No. Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we sign the consent to collateral assignment for tax increment participation agreement.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make unanimous. You want a roll call?
Yes.
Commissioner Holling said aye.
Commissioner Yardley, aye.
Perfect.
One of these days. Fantastic.
All right, you're next on the agenda still, correct?
I am. Gosh, you guys can get sick of me.
Destination IQ contract, let's hear it.
Correct.
We're so excited to hear about
So
this.
we have renegotiated this, several months ago, actually, is when we got the final agreement. So I wanted to bring it in front of you today, but I did have, a PowerPoint that I wanted to display. Did I send that to you? Can you throw that for me? So the contract is going to be part of my presentation, but basically I wanted to give you a quarterly update on tourism here in Beaver County. So the first thing that we want to start with is this contract and kind of go over it. So if you'll go to the next slide for me, Presley. Perfect. So the contract with Destination IQ is the original, is what we're entertaining today. Our original contract included a 10% year increase, year over year. And it was a 4-year contract starting in September of 2022, running through December 2026. Originally, that contract began with Global Vista Technologies doing business as VistaWorks. And that contract originally began at the cost of $5,000 monthly. So fast forward to today, we've spent a couple of years with Destination IQ. You've brought me on under the capacity of Strategic Development Director. There were some added things to the contract over that duration of time as you transition between directors that included grant writing services, and included a couple other things. This new contract that we have negotiated today, we now remit $4,400 monthly. We retain our social media management and destination management. We omitted the grant writing component, and we negotiated a 0% increase for services in 2025. So, in short, we ended up saving the county about $4,200 on the grant writing side of things, and then we also, like I said, eliminated that 10% increase for 2025 over 2024's cost. So our monthly is going to stay the same at $4,400 a month through the end of 2025.
So, does this mean you write the grants then?
This does mean that I write the grants, I do all of the grant reporting, I do all of it, all the nitty-gritty. And they've been helping me with my application on co-op in years past, but this year we decided not to chase co-op for the tourism side. We did apply on behalf of Eagle Point because Eagle Point wanted to continue to use some of the marketing funds to their advantage. However, I'm not certain that they're going to be allowed to do that moving forward. That's a conversation to come in. We need to hammer that out with the Utah Office of Tourism. So they did not help with the UOT co-op application for Eagle Point this year. I did all of that myself. And we've just about finished up all of our reporting metrics for the co-op 2023. So by the end of the year, I really pushed VistaWorks, Destination IQ, to have all of that completed so we could have a calendar year, a clean calendar year is what I was really pushing for. So we've got that all wrapped up a little bit earlier than anticipated as well.
So for the audience and maybe people online, Destination IQ is
Destination IQ is VistaWorks, yes.
For what reasons?
They changed company names because they picked up a couple of different...
Not company names, what do we use them for?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, we know, I want...
Yeah. Yeah, so as you can see here, they are our destination management and social media management team for the tourism brand. Probably a good time to state that none of that money comes out of Beaver County residents' pockets. It all comes out of money that's collected through people who stay in hotel rooms. And so anytime you stay in a hotel room in the state of Utah, you pay a little extra percentage, and that little extra percentage is called CRT, Transient Room Tax. And so all of the funds that flow through that budget are from that fund and that tax collection specifically. Beaver County itself does not put dollars into that fund.
And go ahead.
Yeah, we're probably going to say the same.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the state statutes would require you to spend some of that money in what they're doing, that we collect, correct?
Correct. I have to spend that money. So that money, there are two different philosophies across the state for how destinations or DMOs manage that fund. Some believe that every year you just get rid of everything every year, and that's what it is, the end. Others have a philosophy that you have a little bit and you keep a little bit to meet initiatives as set forth in your strategic plan. So I'm going to be coming to you in probably Q1 2025 with an update to our strategic plan and getting some guidance from you on what you'd like to see change, what you'd like to see move forward. In fact, that's actually a really good reason to go into our next slide, so we'll set aside the contract for just a moment. We put together our budget for TRT marketing dollars in 2025, and I came up with basically this executive summary of the marketing plan. The strategy for Beaver County aims to enhance brand recognition, foster community engagement, and increase tourism revenue through diversified digital, print, and outdoor advertising. By utilizing targeted social media, billboard placement, and print ads, Beaver County seeks to attract both local residents and travelers from surrounding areas. So the total projected budget for marketing initiatives only, not for the entire TRT budget, but for marketing initiatives only is $88,000. And that is aimed at establishing Beaver County as a distinguished destination for residents and visitors alike. So you can move the next slide. So that $88,000 breaks down into a couple of different key initiatives. There's some social media strategy. Obviously, that's one of the biggest ways that we can market, and so you can see the budget based off Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. One of the things we wanted to shift on the social media strategy with Facebook is focusing on engaging the Beaver County residents with local tourism updates, events, and initiatives, utilizing organic posts to build authentic community connections. What we have found is that Facebook primarily is made up of local residents. And so we're going to use that fact, essentially, to do a little bit more for the locals. There's some rebranding efforts to update all of the Ramblers branding to include the Beaver County, Utah, in all the locals. We have them in most of them, and the ones that, anytime we put a logo on it, it always has the Beaver County, Utah attachment to it. But that we have a whole bunch that need to get added to. We also want to do some outdoor advertising, digital billboards, print advertising, you can see that, and then digital and trail marketing. We have a Ride with GPS account where we maintain trail guides for cycling, OHV, those kinds of things, and then we have a miscellaneous marketing needs, things that come up that are high ROI, just a little bit of a buffer if there's something that pops up.
Are those trails all digitized already?
Yes, sir.
Bike trails and walking trails?
Yes,
and
sir.
motorized trails?
Yes, sir. Kevin has done an incredible job of
Kevin, nice job.
working out those assets. So I would be lost without Kevin Wicker, 100%.
We all would.
100%.
You should be sitting on the front row so we can really embarrass you.
That's awesome.
He's already embarrassed enough when I say things like, I would be remiss without Kevin Wicker.
Gas prices?
So what are the national trends? And why does it matter, right? The AAA national average is $3.44, and that was at the end of the summer. So you can kind of see where we rank in comparison to everywhere else in the nation. Pretty spendy. We're a pretty spendy neck of the wood, and we regionally are a pretty spendy neck of the wood anyway, because of some market factors. But that does, gas prices definitely affect how people travel, when people travel, how often they travel. So that's a pretty normal national trend. Next slide, please. The national and state outlook is saying that 38% of their survey respondents will likely change their fall travel due to economic factors. Some of that is what occurred yesterday, some of that is gas prices, some of that is just the fall holidays. In closing, final thoughts from the industry perspective, inflation has dropped to its lowest since March of 2021. And the fewest number of Americans believe we're going to enter an economic recession. That's interesting findings from the state. We are in an election year, and our audiences will continue to act in unpredictable ways. So that's the flip side of that coin. The most likely, probably an understatement, yes. The most likely change to travelers' upcoming travel plans for this fall is that they may take shorter trips, right? And that only 12% of respondents don't plan on traveling this fall. So of everyone they asked, 12% said no travel at all. Travelers continue to have multiple destinations in mind, so while your destination might have a strong awareness, it isn't necessarily the only destination under consideration. And some of that, you know, it's Thanksgiving, and so we know where we go for Thanksgiving. My family is an interesting microcosm of this. This year I said, let's go to St. George, let's get away from the norm, let's find a rental somewhere that we can do Thanksgiving together, all 10 of us under the same roof. And let's do it away from home. Let's have a little bit of a break. Life has been very heavy for us the last 6 months, so let's do something fun. But it's a really good example of how families can change dynamics really quickly and a little unpredictable.
I just want to stay home.
Oh,
I think
Yeah.
I'd be happy to stay home.
I think for us, home has been a little bit stressful, and so we are excited for the break.
Get out.
I believe that's my last slide, correct, Presley? Yeah, fantastic. So that's really what I have for you. I know it's kind of long and all over the place, but I didn't want to address the contract with you without also addressing kind of plans for 2025. I do have some input that I'm going to want from you shortly on how to shape kind of that organic on Facebook and how we can give back to the locals, whether that looks like a party in the park or what kind of initiatives we can do to really show the locals that tourism is doing something for the locals above and beyond just bringing business into Beaver County. I think it's important, and so I'll be asking for some insight on that in the weeks to come.
Okay. Any questions for Jen on the, I guess the contract really is what we're
The contract is what we're
discussing,
signing,
yeah.
correct,
Which is Destination Management Services.
correct.
About their Destination IQ, right, is their name? But they're still under.
Yeah, Destination IQ.
Okay.
And good negotiations to drop the increase and That's good.
It really came down to Commissioner Yardley. He pushed for a 0% increase. I was pushing for like please give us a 2.5% instead of 10, and Commissioner Yardley just put his foot down and said, under no circumstances you're gonna give us a 0. And I was like, okay, well, that's the game we're gonna play today. Let's play it, and we got it. So, props to Commissioner Yardley on that negotiation.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yeah, where'd it go?
Hopefully it works out. They've been good to work with, and they knew they were a little high, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm just worried about that automatic 10% increase.
Every year, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll be pushing for a 2.5% in 2026.
Yeah, because, you know, they need to understand not even cost of living is not like
Correct.
that. It's not an automatic, it should be negotiated every year.
Correct. And you should know that we have had those conversations with them, that 2026 is when this contract ends. And so in Q2 or Q3 of 2026, we'll be going out to bid to see if they can come back with a good, we'll be opening it back up for potentially a new contract, so.
Is there a way to see our ROI on their services?
There's not a direct ROI that I can show you. I can show you our increases year over year since the years we've contracted with them.
Yeah.
It would,
Maybe something that would be helpful.
I can definitely prepare that kind of a document for
well,
you.
I think you'll get that in the bid process too, you know,
Yeah.
from other companies, maybe see what.
What the projection is.
I think we need to have, going into that, we'll have some brainstorming and we'll put together what we want that bid to look like. But I think we need to get really clear ideas around what exactly do we expect them to deliver as that company. Because while we know what is in this contract and what services they render, I can tell you on any given day that I can call Lindsay and I can say, hey, there's this problem on the website, you gotta get it tweaked, and it gets resolved within 2 hours typically, but 24 hours is realistic. Or, hey, we had this opportunity to come up to be on Taste Utah, I need you to get all of these assets over to them and work out this. So I know on any day, any given day, what the work that they are doing. I don't think I do a great job of communicating to you maybe all of the work that's going on in the background, but then I also don't know what work you guys would prioritize or what you want to see moving forward. So I think as we go to bid for 2027, we'll figure that out, we'll hammer it out, and it'll be great.
Okay, perfect.
And we do, Jen and I discussed quite a bit on what we would like them to work on and what they need to do, so I do think they do a good job. We just need to clean up some of the contracts and maybe cut back a little bit.
Okay.
This will be a good year, a good trial year for them.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion if we approve it.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Unanimous, thank you.
I'll get out of your hair for a minute.
Good job.
Thanks, Jen.
You'll go on top was Beaver County. Just makes sense.
And Jen, no more hair jokes.
Hey, I thought I looked like a great commissioner, Yardley. I was waiting for
That was
anybody
pretty
to say
good.
it.
I don't know where you found that. That was pretty good.
I will admit that the idea came to me about 2 weeks before Halloween, and I went immediately to Preston and said, hey, listen, we've got to do this thing, and then we went immediately to Kevin, who told me he would have loved to have been Commissioner Pearson, but he was out on the hunt. And so we recruited Jen Marshall.
Yeah, Jen Marshall is great.
And she looks amazing, so, yeah, thanks for having a good sense of humor.
That's pretty good. I liked it.
So I never did actually see like the picture, so did she have a?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a cap on, looked like
Yeah,
a bald.
I will send you all of the pictures. I had a bald cap and then I blotted in the sunburn on the back of my head from my hat. And I had a really great belt buckle, and his wife came and we took a picture together. It was awesome.
All right, next on the agenda, come up, Jimmy, rest, who's ever else is coming, Kevin, Corey, come on up.
Just Kyle's supposed to be there.
Kyle, yes, Kyle, where's Kyle?
Kyle's gone.
Kyle's gone. That's pretty funny. That was good. I liked it. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Is Kyle gonna join us for this?
He said he's gone. Kyle's gone.
No Kyle. No Kyle today.
All right, go ahead.
I'm James Carter, and proposing a road closure or a road realignment with moving it over to the east side of my property or onto the edge of North Divide Grazing Association where the blue line is.
So currently where where the road is red is where it's at now.
Yes, it dissects my property into 3 pieces.
Oh, I guess there is a road that splits right there, huh? So you're saying you wanna move it over to to the right edge?
Yes.
I guess that's the east, is that the east side?
That's the east side, yes. And if you follow the blue line up, the other
Other
way.
way.
Yeah, go the other way is easier.
Right there? Just, I think that right there.
If you follow the 2 red lines up, they just join back together. If
The
you
further
follow-
north you go?
Right there,
Yeah, there you go.
they just join, yeah.
Okay.
And so rather we abandon the west one and just leave the RS 2477, the historic one. And then we just go down the blue line. It gives us better access on Highway 21. Where the red line is, the water runs down the road and it's in a hole. And you can't see, it's hard to get out on the road and to see who's coming down, whereas the blue line's up on the hill out of the wash.
And it connects with Highway 21.
Yes.
That black line at the bottom is Highway 21.
Yeah.
So have you talked to UDOT about changing the access?
Yeah, he was familiar with, well, he pulled it up on his map, and I talked to him about how you have to pull up in the hole in the mud puddle, and then when the cars aren't coming, you have to get out of the mud puddle onto the highway. And like I say, back where the blue line is, the highway's actually even wider, because it's where that 3rd lane is.
Yeah, that UDOT fence is set further off the edge of the highway.
Yeah, UDOT fence is further back, and Highway 21 is wider. It just, you know, it gives you a way to get out of the way of the mainstream traffic.
Question for you, Jim. Just an idea. So that this road just doesn't suddenly dead end, there'd be a chance of just bringing it along the north end of the property and then connecting it in the right of way.
And that's fine if we want to just go across the north,
It's
like,
also a possibility.
yes.
It just seems kind of crazy, we just have this big old road and then it would suddenly dead end. Bringing it across might make sense.
Yeah,
Is there an existing, it looks like there's a little 2-track maybe there that
It-
keeps going north?
It keeps.
Going
From the blue line?
Going east and north, right?
Well, no, from the blue line
Oh.
straight north.
Is that a road there?
Yeah.
That's the road there.
That's where it would connect onto the existing road.
And that's
So-
the only road that's actually the RS 2477?
That's the only one we claimed. The other one we did not claim. It's a redundant road. It was mostly used for dumping trash and it was not our work.
What road are you talking
So
about?
which one?
The one that goes up the middle?
The one on the left side. Okay.
So this one we did claim, this one we have not claimed.
Yeah, just show us.
Opposite of that.
Opposite,
This one we
this
did
is
claim,
the
this one is
yeah,
correct.
it's the
Okay.
chart.
Show us, we're all clear.
This red road right here goes up along that boundary, all the way up and onto BLM.
But
That's
there's
the
no
one we
fence,
claimed.
right?
That's when we claimed.
This one over here basically is a redundant road that parallels it and then they merge.
Back in the BLM land.
So then down here, we have claimed
Gotcha.
this right-hand side is an RS 2477, but this one is
We
unclaimed.
did not claim the left one.
Got it, got it, okay.
So is that just the old garbage pit where you can see the circle right there?
Yep. Where the people are dumping on North Divide grazing property.
Okay.
People are dumping.
Yeah, there's a lot of junk and trash there.
Oh, goodness, really?
Probably a few dead cows.
Probably should be dumping, right?
Yes, no?
If we eliminate it, they can't get there to dump, or.
Oh, they can always get there.
Well, all right. It makes it harder to get there to dump. Or if you wanna go across the north end of my property, then the road just wouldn't dead end.
So,
Well, it's not gonna dead end anyway. It's gonna continue back onto that road.
Right.
the proposed road would be on your side of the property though, correct?
I wanna propose it on the North Divide grazing side, so that people wouldn't have to open 3 gates for a minimum of 2, because if they have to open one at the highway and one to get into North Divide grazing,
Cause your property's fenced?
Right.
no, it's not fenced yet. But when it is fenced, they would have to open one to get into mine and one to get into North Divide.
What does North Divide grazing think about that?
And I've asked Floyd and Cal,
There they are.
and we can have them come up and state their opinion.
That'd be fine. You guys want to come up? I mean, do you represent all of North Divide?
It's a president and a secretary.
So probably, yeah.
Okay. Done.
They said they don't want it on the North Divide because of that.
You gotta introduce yourself and talk into the mic, sorry.
Just say who you are for the record, and
Okay, I've talked to several of those North Divide guys and they don't want it on the North Divide for the simple fact they don't want the liability of it.
okay.
If they put it on the North Divide, that gives the North Divide the same problem that Jimmy's got,
Yeah,
with fence gates open.
yeah.
One question, Jimmy. How far is that from the trail?
Just the trail's right here on this edge.
No. The big trail.
The fence comes in like right in here.
Grab that mouse, cause we don't know where you're going.
Just put, there's a bob,
The fence line runs right up through here?
it's that line right there. There's a barbed wire fence right in there. And then
That's like a 20-acre piece around the Dust Bowl Trail, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and rather the gate's on Highway 21, or rather it's on my north end, the same, yeah, people leave the gates open, and the cows get out on Highway 21, and that's not good for anybody.
It's true, I agree with that.
So, what if Jimmy fences it, but gives the county 20 feet or whatever, puts his fence 20 feet inside his line, the road's not fenced in, you don't have the gate problem, but the road still runs through his property, his fence is just inside of that 20 foot, or whatever you guys think is necessary. There still is gonna be a gate on the North Divide off the highway, because there's a fence right there, but there's no additional gate.
Or they
But-
would have an
but
option
so
of
you're-
doing a cattle guard.
You're saying move the fence in 20 feet, let him put the road on that property that's not fenced in?
Yeah. That still puts the liability back to North Divide, is the only problem.
Would be on Jimmy's property though.
The road would be on Jimmy's property,
Yeah.
the fence would be on Jimmy's property, just 20 feet or whatever.
I guess if we go with the cattle guard, that would clear up the liability problem. But somebody's gotta pay for the cattle guard. What's the normal procedure there, Corey?
Typically on our graded county roads, the property owner pays for the cattle guard. We install it and take ownership after that. That's the way our thing needs now.
Okay. What do cattle guards typically cost?
Depends on the size, but we're probably looking at $4,000 to $5,000.
Miners that land and livestock did that, what, 3?
4 years, 5
4,
years ago.
yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, they kind of done the same thing, they moved that fence in
Moved the
so that
fence.
they
Yeah,
didn't have a cattle guard in our main road.
yeah.
Just a possibility, I'm just trying to help
Yeah,
everybody out.
just give options.
Yeah.
Where it's an RS 2477, the 12 feet's plenty wide enough, and then I would be willing to give up 6 feet if North Divide would give up 6 feet.
Why do we need to stand all lost? It's on you.
Well, and I don't know that 12's enough, is it, Corey? What do you,
Typical two-lane, two-track roads, we consider about 16 feet wide, just upset to upset. 20 feet would be an appropriate width. I agree with Corey on that.
This day and age, 20 feet don't go very far with the equipment, the trucks, horse trailers, whatever it may be, 20 feet's. You're not passing two vehicles at 20 feet if you think about it, so just. Okay.
Well, and then I think, kind of standard procedure too, whoever's, correct me if I'm wrong, but whoever's proposing this is the one that bears the burden and they build the road and whatever, right?
That would be correct.
Kevin, any other thoughts on the roads?
No, I think we're fine. If he'll let us build that road there, we still maintain.
Well, we wouldn't be building it.
No. If that road is moved over on the edge of his property, we're still maintaining and retaining the RS 2477 road, the public access on the BLM land. I don't think that other road's a big issue road unless North Divide has a problem with it.
Well, what if the people come down that road, how they gonna get to the other one? If there's no road over across here,
Your worry is that they'll make their own road, they'll start driving across.
Then they're gonna need to come across here.
And your worry is that they'll make their own road, they'll start driving across your land.
or cut the fence, or,
Unless we make one there. So,
But there isn't any other fences, right? There's no fence
well,
there.
why
Not
should we
today,
be responsible for the road, let him put the road clear across his,
right, yeah.
on the inside,
Yeah.
so that they can get back over to the other road.
Right, yeah, that's your point.
Because there's gonna be a certain amount of people that come down that road just to see what's there.
Well, of course, yeah. And are they gonna turn around and go back? Well, maybe, but maybe they'll just cut
Probably
across
not.
somebody's property, right, make their own.
Well, scroll, use your mouse and show where that comes in and joins and backtracks, but
You're talking.
yeah.
Right here where it's split,
Yeah.
it comes down.
so Floyd, you'd like to see 20 feet on that north side as well for,
Well, it'd probably be better, otherwise people are either gonna cut the fence or they're gonna go one way or the other rather than go back.
yeah, I agree. James, what's your thoughts? You willing to give up 20 feet on both those?
Not on both of them, no. If that west road is just for North Divide grazing, they can drive on their own ground to access their own road.
It's not gonna be just North Divide though.
You got beyond that, right?
They've abandoned them and they've closed them in other places where it's not an RS 2477.
But that property owner comes and makes that request. They're not making the request, you're making the request that they close the road on their property, and they're not making that request, so it's a little different.
So we don't have to resolve this today, because part of this involves vacating a designated county road. These are one of them is a Class D road, is that right, Kevin?
They're both Class D roads.
Yeah.
I just pointed out to him when he came to my office that this other one is one that we claim under RS 2477, so there is no way we're going to abandon that. That was my.
Yeah, so because this partially involves vacating claimed county road, we have to go through a public notice process and have a public hearing. So that would give you time to kind of work this out and come up with the plan. We just have to give the public notice that we're gonna vacate these two forks right here, or put a road down the side and possibly one across your land or theirs or both or something. So if the commission wants to move forward, I mean, we can give instructions to staff to start publishing in the newspaper.
I don't think
You don't
we're
wanna go
even
forward?
remotely there yet. One of the biggest issues that I see happening is I think you've gotta have some sort of a, and I don't even know what the terminology is, but a permit or a contract with state road to allow you to change
Your point of
that
entry.
access, because that's a big deal off of state road, if I remember right.
That's correct. They should give him an encroachment permit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those kind of things that you've gotta have in.
Typically, on anything I've ever dealt with, you know, when moving an, access point, they would have to approve it, issue a permit, yes.
Right.
And I've talked with him, and of course, you have to go online and fill out the permit, but
Well, and it's gotta be approved, I mean, we
Yeah.
can't just go off of, you know, we've gotta actually have the permit in hand, right, for us to move forward, and in my mind, you know, you're the one that wants to close this, you either need to work a deal out with North Divide, or you gotta be willing to put up that property for
The road, right?
for the road. The simplest thing to me would be, you know, you put a road inside your property and build your fence there and put a cattle guard in. But all of that, you know, depends on what state road does as far as encroachment permit too. I'm assuming you might have to have a culvert and stuff, I don't know.
Yeah, that's all part of the permitting process, they make that decision then.
if the road's just a two-track road, less than 12 feet wide, and the gate's a wire gate now, why do I have to improve it past the wire gate and past the 12-foot wide road?
Is that what it is now?
It's just two tracks.
It's
So
12 foot?
wide as a pickup. It's 8 foot wide, just two tracks. And the wire gate, it's no good.
Well, I don't think it matters to us whether there's a gate or the cattle guard, that's really on them.
Right.
But if we're changing and we get some sort of right of way or whatever you think, I think there should be at least a 20-foot, that's my opinion, 20 foot of road surface that the traveling public can,
Is that
or
like?
20 feet of area, I should say.
Is that like, policy or written, or what is that? Is that just a?
What did you say the RS 2477 right of way is? Is that normally 16 feet?
Typically on two-track roads, that's what we claim the disturbance width is.
Is 16 feet?
It's about 16.
So the two tracks can be 8 feet, but the
The
disturbance
actual,
could be.
the actual tracks, but you have disturbance on
You've
both
got-
sides.
Both sides, so
Like
the
the
right of
arc
way.
in or whatever, yeah.
If we were, it's vague
Well,
on the two-track.
here's the other thing that I'm not sure, you know, it's, I gotta get my thought process together. What's the new court ruling from Wadups on, county maintenance of RS 2477? So if we win our lawsuit, we win the bellwether case, and it comes back, then, BLM roads, which are these, the Class D roads, and the county gets their full right of way, then you have the right to maintain that from here on out.
Right. And that means the 20 feet would make sense if we got plans of developing or improving the
Yeah,
road.
and
20
granted,
feet is
we've been
better.
in this lawsuit for
20 years.
20 years. But Wadups just made that brand new ruling, 2 months ago, 3 months ago? Oh, have I not said that to you? Sorry. Anyway, so they granted that the counties have full right to maintain, to replace, culverts or cattle guards or fences or whatever they have to do. And so that's a big win on the Clipco lawsuit. So this would do the same thing on any of these existing roads.
Well, I think we have to go to the drawing board and see if you're willing to move that road to that side, and, I think that's something you guys decide, I guess, if that's what you wanna do.
with North Divide too.
I know it's been commissioners in the past that have allowed roads to be closed and roads to be moved, and it hasn't been you guys specifics.
Yeah.
Specifically. But is there a written policy, or if I, after you guys are replaced, do I come in and it's
Well, there's a
totally
state
different?
statute that deals with vacating roads, and so that's what we're going off.
We also have a county policy that we do not vacate roads unless it's completely unused. But that's our policy, that we try not to vacate roads.
Yeah, I just know in the past that people have closed them, people have fenced them off and just said, stay out.
Yeah, I know about that, but.
And if I come back in 5 years, what policy's gonna be in place, or if I come back in 5 minutes or 5 days?
Right.
And I just need to know the steps that I need, the next 2 or 3 steps that I need to take.
Say step 1, work out a deal with your neighbors. I'd say step 2, get that permit from state roads on the new access point.
Yeah, and if he dedicated us a right of way or dedicated us 20 feet, then there would that be some sort of guarantee that that road would be closed?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, say he dedicated us 20 feet of right of way,
Yeah.
just the length of his property. I mean, I'm just trying to help him out here to see what
Right.
his worry is, that somebody else is gonna let them close the road,
Yeah.
or close the road, and he has nothing to stand on at that point.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Vaughn's right as far as state statute and what's, you know, we've got in our resource management plan, you know, closing roads are not an option, especially when it's a public road, like it's a public road, public right of way.
access, yeah.
Public access, that's what we're fighting the federal government on every day, whether it's BLM or Forest Service and stuff, so,
Yeah, I just want you to realize, I wished I was here 5 years ago when it was done.
yeah.
Because there were roads closed and there were roads
But those
fenced off.
roads provided, there was a separate access provided for those roads.
And they were,
When
it
closed.
was a private road though, too, wasn't it?
And it was the one that went to Pat Yardley's barn, that was the county maintained that.
And it was a
They
dead end
abandoned
road?
that, but they also created a new road
New
along
road
the
on the
bottom of
side.
his property
Yeah.
for access.
I think I
And
remember.
it wasn't 20 feet.
Yeah,
And it was, and it's on my property, part of it, and they didn't even ask if they could put it on my property. And if you follow this road further north, Gilbert Yardley fenced it off and didn't even ask you to close it, he just fenced it off and won't let us in. And of course, there's so many up North Creek and, but again, that's,
Yeah, we don't know the details of all those, all we know is what's here in front of us, and this road was on you when you bought the property, I would assume. You knew it was there. The burden of the road is on you. I don't know that it's fair to ask your neighbors to take the burden of the road to them, just because it borders, all of their property borders you. That's not a fair ask, in my opinion.
Unless you can convince them.
well, according, like I say, the west one, to me, is just access to their own property. I understand the RS 247. And then I have the problem with 20 feet, when there's only 12 feet there now, why do I have to give you 20 feet?
Right. Well, there's 16, but if we do 12 feet and 2 people meet on that road, they've gotta leave that right of way somewhere, right? We don't want them, the fence is gonna be on your side, they'd be driving on North Divide side, and that's what they're trying to avoid too,
Well,
so.
technically you're abandoning 2 roads,
right.
so you're
Good point.
you're giving up, I mean, you're not giving up 20 feet. You're gonna give up, or we're abandoning 30 feet, or whatever.
We're
you
gonna
know,
gain
so-
ourselves.
Yeah, I got you.
If that makes sense.
That's true, if you give them both reds, then you're giving up 2 roads, right?
Yeah, 2 12s is still a 12 up and a 12 across, it's not 2 20s, and it's not 2 16s. So that's, again, I need clarification, does it have to be 20, can it be 12, can it be
sounds like our position is that it's gotta be 20 for future growth and development.
And if I come back in 5 years and there's new commissioners, is there anything going on the books? Is there,
Well, all of this stuff's already on the books.
but it wasn't 5 years ago.
Well, things change. I think the resource management plan, how long ago did we fix that? Did we do that?
It's been 6 years.
6 years.
But we've had these mapped for 20 years.
Right, right.
You know, when we started doing RS 2477, we went out and mapped all the county roads.
And that was 76, wasn't it?
That was 2002 to 2006.
Well, I'm saying the designation,
They
the
existed
closures.
prior to
yes,
1976.
yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts, James, anything? Okay. All right. We will, I mean, this was just a discussion at this point, there's nothing really.
Yeah, so there's no action at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, there's no action.
Okay. Thank you all for coming for that, appreciate it, thanks for the input.
Thanks, you guys.
Fundraiser for Secret Santa. Okay, old business.
Deputy Skeenager for this?
I tried to call him and
Any old business you got, Commissioner Yardley?
I can give the rundown of what's going on.
I'm not sure what this is about.
Commissioner Yardley.
So just one, little discussion on, in our landfill, we have tires that are piling up. They actually, the state tries to contract people to come out and grind those tires, and then we can use them for fuel. But the grinding, they have to be a 2-inch square piece when they get done grinding to count as fuel. And those businesses that grind tires, they're so busy in Salt Lake, they won't even cut this up anymore. So,
Yeah, tires getting dumped everywhere in the county.
yes, and the main goal of the landfill is to keep those tires out of the county. We want them at the landfill.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it's created a problem in the landfill, what do we do with those tires? So we had a meeting with, Evan Vickers, and Carl was on there, and we discussed trying to change the language to grinding tires, so it doesn't specify that it has to be 2 inches. So just be aware that that legislation should be coming up this year, and any help you can give us up there to just change it to grinding tires. The problem is with the machine that grinds them to 2 inches is probably a $2 million machine. The other machine that just grinds tires, and it might make them 12 inches or 20 inches, and maybe 6 inches, but we can still use that for daily fuel. That machine's like a $300,000 machine. So it just allows some of these smaller landfills to either pool together and buy one machine and share them, or each buy their own machine just to get rid of those tires.
You have to grind the tires, can you not stick them somewhere?
You can ship them, but
But the cost is pretty.
the cost is
Is it
pretty
lot?
high, and they also classify those tires
Well,
as
here's a nice.
hazardous material.
Yeah, they
So
are.
it's really.
Because you can't really bury them unless you.
No, you can't bury them whole, they want them grounded.
Call the sheriff's office.
We're
when
seeing
would
it.
you like him to come?
Not today. We're
We're
gonna be done,
behind
we're gonna move on.
He missed his opportunity.
Yeah,
But I do have to say,
another day.
Colorado, when Larry Don was in Montezuma County, they actually invested in one of those machines, and then all the other counties came and brought tires to them.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how, I'm not sure all the details, because like your still building ones don't really grind up as good.
Not as good, they will grind.
They will
still.
grind, but then I was trying to remember how they did it. They used it for the, playground
Yes.
equipment and stuff.
The little, underneath the playground.
Yeah, for the padding, instead of like your wood chips and stuff like that.
Yes.
And there's other places that actually make padding or something with them somehow. And, but anyway, it might be worth it for Mike to look into something like that, not, that wouldn't be an added problem, but other counties might be bringing tires to you, but then if you actually ground them and process them, then you could ship them out.
Didn't they use them for like playgrounds and stuff?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
Use them for
as long as you're
programs.
not still belt that, you can
So
do
the
that,
per,
right?
when they did that 2-inch square requirement, there was a market for those, and that's why the legislation was written that way, is what I learned. Now that market is completely saturated, and
Too many people.
there's too many tires that have been into that. So now you're grinding into 2-inch squares to throw in the landfill for daily cover. The states around us, Colorado is the one you mentioned, they don't require the 2-inch, they still grind the tires and use it for daily fill, but not to the 2-inch square. And they actually has been very successful in
So
Colorado.
is that an EPA thing, or is it a state thing?
It's a state thing.
Really?
And I have the same question, because if you're burying a tire, what does it matter if it's that big
2 inches or 6 inches.
or the
Yeah.
whole thing, for that matter, other than the
But they
spare?
are allowing them to bury them in the landfill if they're too.
Yes, they're ground, yeah. And the problem,
Still a tire.
it's still a tire. It's the same amount of tire, whether it's that big or.
You know, you don't lose volume, because you grind it.
It's probably just easy to pack it on a small.
Yeah.
It, and it is, it's been having a whole tire for sure, but even the small, the larger strips would be okay.
Delivery boys, huh?
Kind of lose that for that.
Thanks, Bob.
They were worried you'd forget it, so they.
I would forget it, so thank you. That's all I had on that, and then we have that watershed meeting on the 20th, and
I can probably do,
3 days worth in Salt Lake.
if I decide, I'll give you enough notice.
Give me enough
on
notice.
Friday.
Give me enough notice. Fit my schedule.
And then, BLM RAC meeting, I have one of those next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday, is that correct?
It's just,
I'm
but,
going over
but,
Public land is Wednesday
the
night.
PL's doing their dinner at the smokehouse Wednesday night,
You pay me.
which is the same time as I've got
Your
the
board.
UAC board meeting. So
Okay.
if you guys.
They have meetings on Thursday as well.
Yes, but what we're
Is
doing.
that part of USAC?
Well, so let me explain that. So the gal who is the director in Washington DC, we're getting, killing 2 birds with one stone. So it's our inaugural, our first annual convention night for our PLC, but she's also speaking at USAC, and so that's why I've got them
Gotcha.
stacked on top of each other,
Okay.
so that we can do both. So basically, what I'm more worried about the PLC part on Thursdays, where it's overlapping with UAC, is we get the committees and the farmers and ranchers and stuff there to do that, because the people that are presenting for PLC are the same people that we have at USAC and UAC all the time.
Gotcha.
Right, but the farmers and ranchers don't do that.
Right.
But Caitlin will be here for part of the dinner. She's just coming down from Idaho, so we just kind of tagged her before she goes back to DC. And so, so anyway, to try and get them tagged all at the same time. So it's really not, I mean, you're not missing anything out on PLC meetings Thursday morning.
Gotcha.
But if you guys can do, you got RSVP, so they've got you on the dinner, if you can do one.
I got it.
Okay.
Skinny, you're late, but I'll give you 3 minutes.
You will?
Yes.
He's so generous, listen to.
It's so kind of you.
I know you're probably a busy man, I know, it's probably a busy day
Somebody
today
start
out
a
there.
timer.
We're pretty
Is it a busy day out there today, or what?
It's kind of been a busy morning, yeah.
Hey, cousin, how are you?
Good, you?
Good.
Cousin?
Well, I apologize,
You don't mind.
and it's my fault, I'm not pointing
I
fingers.
didn't text you, but I did email you.
I don't look at my email.
Well, good to
That's
see
my
you this
fault.
morning.
Yeah, glad to be here.
What you
Can I
got?
stand? I don't wanna sit down.
Please stand.
You
So,
can do it.
The
You
sheriff's
just have to
office,
introduce yourself.
Tyler Skeena, deputy for Beaver County Sheriff's Office.
Awesome.
So the sheriff's office has been in a program for a while, Shop with a Cop, and, where we took kids over to Cedar we would take 4 kids from each group, from each school, kindergarten to 6th grade, and we'd take them shopping. And, back in 2020, when COVID hit, we kind of missed out on that year of doing, Shop with the Cops. So we just selected some families, right there at the top, you can see we selected some families, and we just did the shopping for them and then delivered it to their house. And then 2001, so 2020, we kind of really took a look at the program, because we went to a lot of houses where we were like, okay, there's family members that are above 6th grade that are still not getting anything. So 2021, 22, we started to shift away from Shop with a Cop, and we started selecting whole families where we were going in and shopping for their whole family, you know, trying to get them some food for Christmas, that kind of stuff. If you look down through the years there, where we've spent money, like in 2021, we spent $1,800, in 2022, we spent $2,400, and then 2023, we spent $3,400. The way we raise that money is, the deputies out at the sheriff's office can pay $10 a month to have facial hair, and then all that money goes towards, Shop with a Cop. We've renamed it.
I love that.
We've renamed it to Santa Sheriffs and First Responders, because we don't go over to Cedar anymore, so I keep saying that, so bear with me. But if you look to the side on the money that we've raised, like in 2022, we only raised $1,900, and we spent $2,400. And then in 23, we raised $2,800, but we spent $3,400. We took like a Christmas tree, we had some businesses that have donated to us other than that, but we're spending a little more money. So the reason I'm in front of you guys today is, I would like to do a fundraiser at the old hospital. I would like to do a spook alley in the old hospital, have the deputies come and help, and just run it for a couple nights, do waivers, you know, get people to sign waivers so no one's held responsible or anything like that.
Yeah, because nobody wants to be responsible for that building.
Right. I agree. We were in there the other day training, and that's when the idea hit me. So, you know, I haven't worked out the logistics. The thing that I'm asking for is that we could get the approval to use that building for a haunted spook alley to try to help raise money to put back into Santa's sheriffs and first responders to help these families in our community. So that's what I'm asking for.
Well, how much cleanup would it take?
Well,
To get everything
not all of it, right? I mean, there's some desks out there that came from the sheriff's office that we need to decide, hey, what are we doing with these? Are they trash? We're gonna try to use them somewhere else, because we can get the inmate crew in there to clean up a lot of it. But then I was thinking there's also some big rooms in there that we could push a lot of that stuff, you know, stack it or organize it and put it in there, so if we do gotta go back to it, but we can make room that way. And then we could use the rest of that hospital to do like a little spook alley.
Most of that stuff,
The most of it's hospital beds. I mean, there's stuff in there that I'm like, why do we even have this still, right? But we would obviously check with you guys, and then, you know, what can we keep, what can we not keep, and get rid of it that way, clean it out.
Don't know what it's gonna look like this year, we're doing some renovations.
And I talked to Jen about that, and, you know, if there's some renovations that are still going through there and they're gutting it, but we go in there at night, I mean, we're not gonna move a lot of stuff, we just need the space to move people through it and try to scare them, and then if we have to try to go somewhere else, we can. If we could use it next year and it's available, we would love to do that. And if it's not available next year at that time, then we'll go to a different thing, but I would like to try to move forward with this plan, knowing that the building could be used.
And I think the basement would probably be available anyway, even if we're doing some renovations.
Yeah.
I think we could find room for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a good idea to get a dumpster, and, well, you got some muscle, you know, with the inmate crew. The inmate crew. The inmate crew, or whatever, I'm just saying, you know, we could load.
The inmate crew.
That maybe get a little bit safer, because there's some stuff in there that's deteriorating, and I'm not sure we wanna have a spook alley in its
It might
current
take
condition.
a year to get it
If we
ready.
could get it cleaned up a little
Yeah, but
bit.
if we could start working
Yeah.
towards
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
it cleaned up, and then, like I said, if because I know that we're possibly talking about putting a food bank in there, and
Right.
if that's there and it doesn't work out, free labor, right?
Well,
Get the stuff cleaned up.
Well,
It's a perfect place for spook alley though.
it is
That would be
absolutely.
really
We should
nice.
make
Here's
it
the other
permanent, you know,
thing, here's the other thing,
Let's just call it the spook alley.
these guys are doing their in kind, we could even pay up a little bit and have them help us
Yeah, yeah.
muck it up a little bit and haul it out.
I say go for it.
And I'm sure the liability, Ginger and see Ginger, you're not.
It's a great place for a spook alley, yeah, but if we
No,
can
I
clean
think
it up
it's
a
a
little
great
bit.
I know the
more,
Bee
then
Steps did it back in the day when it first closed down. My mother-in-law helped out, and it was a big
Huge
Big
success.
deal.
success
Yeah.
for the Bee Steps, so.
Well, I can see the whole hospital thing, being, the walking.
Creepy as it is.
Yep.
Right?
Wall feet.
I mean, just something to help us raise a little bit more money.
I'm all for it,
So,
I.
Go for it.
okay, perfect.
So on this part of it, it's only raised by the employees right now?
We do have some other donations that come in, they like to be private, so I didn't get that information. But it's not a lot, it doesn't, right? It's mainly from our deputies donating to this facial hair cost.
This is a question for you guys, because I don't know. Is there a way that we could have Sheriff Black have a line item that would maybe match what the employees do, just to try to boost that up a little bit? I don't know what.
You mean as a general fund, that they would match what the.
Yes, put it in his normal budget and.
Yeah,
get
yeah,
another-
we have to just put it in one of the lines.
Okay.
I do like the idea of community engagement, in other words, raising awareness in the community that this is what's happening, and having our community part of this.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, because Les Whitney, and he's changing the name of it, but he does his chili cook-off over on the west side, which is a huge fundraiser that they help push that money into this program, and it's great. The last 2 years, some of the houses that we went into, no Christmas tree, or nothing, so we went and bought a Christmas tree for them, and just those are kind of some things that happen on the fly that we're like, man, maybe we should start buying.
That's
some,
good PR too.
Oh, yes, it's wonderful.
The 28, after Christmas tree sale, so we have them sitting there, but
There you go.
just anything would help that we could,
I know
push
some of
that.
these families, and they appreciate it. This means a lot.
Yes.
It does.
And this is something we gotta keep going. This is a great
No,
program.
I love it, I'm all in.
I think you also should tell, maybe Sheriff Black, put a little line to the county, can help out a little bit too.
So we can do the fundraiser and maybe add a little more from county
Yep.
side. Yeah.
Well,
I'm good with both.
I'm one of those guys, we'll take advantage of these guys.
Well, I know, yeah, thanks for clean up.
He's just like.
It's his idea.
He's just like the debate kids, or the stock show kids, or the 4-H kids.
Yeah, we have to do something in
You gotta do something in return, so I think that's something that the county can
Yeah,
give
I
us some
have
money on that
no
end.
problem helping out in any way I can, but I think it would be I keep looking that way, and I don't think it's how I do it.
It's that.
That way, yeah.
So, I think it would be a huge success and a huge fundraiser
Yeah,
for
we could.
this program.
I'm pretty
So-
sure we'd have some room in there.
I
I'm not
think
sure
so.
that we have too much done by next year to.
Everything moves pretty slow in government, so it'll take a little while.
Probably 2 years.
True, I know how that money works that comes from the government for projects, so.
That's right.
So,
It's a great idea.
Yeah, stay in touch with us for sure.
okay, yes, I will
Go for
definitely
it.
stay in touch, appreciate you guys' time, sorry I was late.
Well, I was
Thank
just
you.
gonna say, if, considering Christmas is right around the corner for this year, maybe we should consider, the commission donating some money for in-kind stuff.
Hey, I'm all about anything that wants to be given, so.
Is that something we can talk about right now? That we can
Not
do?
on the agenda, so we can't vote on it, but we can certainly discuss it.
I don't know if that's something where TRT money or something like that could be used, so.
That's right.
I'm
How would you propose it, Commissioner Pearson? Okay, let's do it.
I would second that for children.
All right, I got a motion for $1,000 to shop with, what are you calling it?
Sandus sheriffs and first responders.
Santa's sheriff, say that about 4 times.
Yeah, say it fast,
And
it will
first
get you.
responder,
Yeah.
$1,000 from the county.
Perfect, thank you.
Motion second,
Yep.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make unanimous.
Appreciate it, you guys,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night. Okay. We need to go back to.
Yeah.
I know we're a little behind, but just give us 2 minutes for a short break and we'll start, okay? We gotta have a coffee break.